Hello, welcome back if you're back. I'm Parker Hall. I'm a poet, writer, literary magazine submission reader, and I went to school for poetry. Today I want to talk about little poems. The smallest poems I can find that do the most amount with those words. We're looking at 8 little poems today, a mixture of like concrete poems, haikus, couplets, like a bunch of just random crap in here. Alright, if you hear me tip-tapping away, it's because I got a new gadget. I got a little drawing tablet so I can write on the poems. We are high-tech here. Ignore the video quality or the audio quality.
Oh no! Mr. Krabs told me all about you! You are a liar! A deceiver! I'll never fall for your tricks again!
So I gotta read you the first one before you see it so it doesn't ruin the surprise. It's called You Fit Into Me. You fit into me like a hook into an eye. A fish hook. An open eye. Fucking love that shit. Okay, so you start with something very sweet. You fit into me. Typical love, typical romantic poem kind of intro. Then you have a hook into an eye. And this is also misleading because it's for a dress. You know that little clippy thing at the top of a zipper on a dress? You hook it together. That is a hook and an eye. And then you get a fish hook in an open eye. The open here makes it so much more vulnerable, open, defenseless. Don't make fun of my spelling. I write every day and I have not gotten better at spelling. It's not going to happen for me. So the entire weight of this poem is on this line break here. And when I was in school, one of my writing professors told us that a line break, which is this, the end of a line, the eye has to stop here and then it has to it has to go around to the beginning again. So that time it gives you, usually the mind of the reader will come up with what they think the next line will say, how it will flow together, something that they expect. So that time between here and here is an opportunity for subversion, for surprise. You think they're going to say one thing, then you say something else. So that is what this poem is doing. It is taking advantage of that space. Something else I love about these two stanzas is how different the flow and the tone of them are. So you fit into me. So you have all these into me. Like you have the simile here, a hook into an eye. You have all these extra words to make it feel like a full sentence. And then down here, you just have a fish hook, almost like a period here. You have a caesura. It means a pause at the end of a line break. If it's not a pause and it flows from this one into this one, it is an enjambment, just for all you English students. So you have a caesura here, a fish hook, an open eye. Not a fish hook into an open eye or like a fish hook into an open eye. You just have it matter-of-factly. You have the tone shift to go with the change in subject matter. So what is the point of writing a poem like this? Leading you into a false sense of security and then sticking a fish hook in your eye. So because it's Margaret Atwood, this is probably about how toxic relationships or possibly abusive relationships, how they look on the outside versus how they look on the inside, or even something like love bombing where it seems very sweet until the hook is in you. The violence of this undertone, this is violent. So yeah, it's a comment about how relationships can change, how it can go from a loving hook in an eye to a fish hook in an eye. God, it's
going to be really hard to film today because, of course, when I'm standing, yes, you can see me.
Yeah.
But when I turn,
I'm here all alone. I'm suddenly lonely.
Where is she?
This one I've already talked about in a video, but I love it so much and it's so perfect. I could not make this video without this poem. I mean, just look at it. I am obsessed with shit like this, how poetry is able to do shit like this. Like, it's borderline concrete poem. A concrete poem just means it's in a shape or it's making a picture. So take a minute and look at this. Pause it, look at it, read it. Try to read it because you can. What is it saying? Why do you think it's shaped like this? What's up? So the parentheses is spelling A leaf falls. I can work technology. And then what outside of the parentheses spells loneliness. Yay. Yeah, that's pretty clear. That is to separate things that should be together. You have a word that should be together like this, but instead it's written like this. You have letters that should be together that are no longer together. That leaf was supposed to be a part of the foliage of the tree, and now it is by itself. It is about separation. And obviously, because it spells out loneliness, the letters are being separated in a very strategic way. So you have a 1 here, and you also have another 1 here. And then this L could be mistaken as a 1. And this is more like an 11, but it could be seen as another 1. It's screaming out singularity. This could be about death, something we all must face alone. It could be just everyday good old loneliness. How do you spell loneliness? It could also be about death because that leaf is going to die, right? A leaf gets all crusty and nice to step on once it falls out of the tree. But the leaf must fall, and it must fall alone. Just like we all must die at some point, and we all pretty much do it alone. But there's also times where everyone feels lonely, so it can be as big or as small as you want it to be. In this poem, he's not trying to describe loneliness. He's not giving us stanzas of descriptions of emotionality, of metaphor. Instead, we are giving the image. Even just this part looks like it's laying on the ground, like that little leaf. I am enjoying my drawing tablet. He's given us the image of it being separated. How we're so used to seeing leaf as leaf, but now we're seeing it separated. We're feeling the disjointment. It feels off to us. We have to take a moment to really understand what's happening. It's hard to really see what the word is on first glance, at least for me. What this does as well, and what poems with very few words in their lines, like a very skinny stanza, what it does is it slows you down. So when you have a line break, every time you have a line break, we already talked about that. That's all these. So many here. So many for just how small this is. It slows you down because your eyes have to go whoop, whoop. The longer something is, the faster you can read it. You can get through a page in a novel pretty quickly because there's nothing stopping you. This will stop you. This makes the descent very slow so that you can fully look at what's going on. He's grabbing your attention for longer. All right. If there's anything I'm missing in these poems, fucking let me know. Just look at it. Just look at it. Oh my God. Just think about everything you notice, because a lot of the point of these poems I'm showing you isn't in what's actually on the page. It's about what your brain does and your line of thinking when you read it. So me telling you is kind of taking the experience away from you. I forgot to put the author name on here. It's called Blues. Did you notice the poem staring back at you? The O's. These O's are staring, eyes wide open. It's creepy almost. They're not blinking. I also love that when the symmetry all lines up, we get this nice row of E's down the middle, which, kind of looks like an arrow going through your heart. So this is both very chaotic. It takes you a minute to get your bearings when you're looking at it, but it's also, once you get your bearing, you can see how it's completely symmetrical on both sides. It is both order and chaos. It is fascinating and confusing. So going back to the eyes, they can make you uncomfortable. I don't know if this is anybody else, but I'm seeing the word evolve. I see that, like, I know it's the same letters, but I keep thinking of the word evolve while I'm looking at the word love. To me, it looks like someone's trying to understand love. Someone has taken all of these little pieces and scattered them on the floor like a puzzle, and they're going to organize them and make the little puzzle and make it make sense. Or it could even look like even speech bubbles, maybe a little bit. Someone screaming the word love over and over until it makes this random sound, this just overlapping sound. Having the title be blues, not something happy, blues, like almost implying that they're brokenhearted. Maybe this is supposed to be more like a roadmap, and they're trying to get out of it. They don't know how to get out. They keep, maybe they keep just circling back around on themselves, and they don't know where to go. They don't understand it. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, it looks so joyful ignoring the eyes. It looks very joyful how it's like taking up space and it's reaching out, but then it's called blues. Unavoidable, maybe. Almost reaching out its hands to keep you there. See, all these questions I'm asking about it, all this shit that I'm writing on the side, that's the point of the poem. The point of the poem is not to go, oh, yeah, love is a mess. It wants you to ask questions. It's ambiguous. When a poem is ambiguous, it makes you want to ask questions. Doing this thought experiment is the point of the ambiguity and is the point of the poem, and that is why we read poems. It's to make you think and go, huh. For real.
A dirt road, a cold beer, a blue jeans, a red pickup, a rural noun, simple adjective.
This is the red wheelbarrow. This is the red wheelbarrow. This is the red wheelbarrow. Oh, god damn it. You can make fun of me. That's okay. Wheelbarrow. Barrel? Is that just a dumb word to say in general, or am I being stupid? So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater, beside the white chickens. You can really hear that. So much depends upon the red wheelbarrow. Yeah, that's nice. The first thing I want to point out is that we have two different articles. The red wheelbarrow and a red wheelbarrow. When I studied this in my class, because of course I had to, my teacher really wanted us to think about why we had the and then And if you've watched my How to Analyze a Poem video, the step where I say ask why, this is a perfect example of that. Why is it the and then What is going on there? So what is happening is like he's zooming out. The is a definite article. It means one thing. So he has one specific here. Specific. And then he has the means any red wheelbarrow. Zooming. Oh shit. Zooming out. I'm killing it. And that is what kind of the poem is doing here with adding in the rainwater and then the white chicken. So you have just the red wheelbarrow in your brain, and then the water, then the chickens, then you're zooming out, and it could be any. So this is a poem about simple life and appreciation. I don't know if you know who Walt Whitman is. He was around during the American Civil War. He modernized poetry, and a way he did that was talking about just simple everyday people in simple situations, in, just a group of boys swimming in a pond, or what is grass. That was an important step to take in poetry, because before that, the farmer, the chicken, the wheelbarrow, those weren't really subjects of poetry. People thought you had to elevate the subject of poetry, make it very dignified, make it only about important things, elegant things. And then you had writers like this, William Carlos Williams, shifting that focus. So his poem right here is about appreciating a simple life. This wouldn't mean as much now, but it meant a lot during the time he was writing. It's also a shout out to farmers. This stanza might seem like an add-on. It looks like you could have cut that out of the image because it is outside of the wheelbarrow, but the chickens imply a farm, and that is who this poem is about. So much depends on the worker, the farmer. And did you notice the stanzas look like little wheelbarrows? Boop. Because the long line is supported by the little line. It depends on it. Like, this is a very lovely, sweet poem. This one little line gives the whole poem its meaning, and it is outside of the image. It is outside of the chickens, the water, the wheelbarrow, but it is supporting the image. This whole thing's about support and relying on itself. I love a good shaped stanza. Oh, that's nice.
When is stuff art?
Is art good just because the right people say it's good? Yes. But keep in mind, a lot of modern art is trash. I mean, it's shitty.
Are you ready for this poem? This one's awesome. Oh, God, it might be my favorite on this list. It's, I don't know. This one's called Light. Yes, it's a poem. This shit's awesome. So, yes, it is the word light with just an extra GH. That's the whole poem. So yes, it's still pronounced light because the GH are silent. It's a repetition of the silent letters. This little repetition makes you look like almost like your eyes stayed on the GH too long, and almost like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, this is what's going on. You're like, whoa, what's that? I gotta go back and check. I have to go back. I have to make sure that was right. If you stare at it for a long time, it almost has the same effect as when you say a word like 30 times, like just over and over, it loses all meaning. It stops sounding like a word. This stops looking like a word. This just looks like a shape at some point when you just keep staring at it. Just the shape of the word, the extra GH. Do you know what I mean? This looks nuts. Maybe I've been looking at it too long. You need to not think about what poetry is in a traditional sense in order to understand this poem. He is doing what that concrete poem was doing. The reading it. The seeing how your brain questions it. How it processes it is the whole point. This is about how we perceive words. How we recognize words. How we give them meaning. These are things on a page that make images in our head. How does that work? He wants us to reevaluate that by just throwing in an extra GH just to stop this automatic process we have of reading. Honestly, this is what's so fun about poetry. Like, if you're looking at this and you just think, oh, that's just a misspelt word, that's not a poem, get out of here. You failed the vibe check. Get the fuck out of here. And I think they're using the word light because light is abstract in itself. Like, you can't really nail down light. So this is making it even more abstract. Yeah, if you don't like this poem, you need to calm down. We're just having fun here.
Spirit, show yourself.
No, don't. What are you doing?
You said to be direct.
Yeah, but don't be Bruce Willis from Die Hard.
This one you're allowed to not like. Just because it's Ezra Pound, I swear to God. I like the actual poem itself. But Ezra Pound was kind of a dick in real life. In a station of the metro, the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough. So something you can notice right away is the rhyme, crowd, and bow. Something I don't really like about Ezra Pound's poetry for me personally as a reader is that they sound very stiff and very, like, they're hard like a board. I don't know how else to describe it. They are, like, this feels like a wooden board to me.
I feel a neurotypical way.
I get why. I respect that he doesn't have a lot of emotion in the poem like typical poems do, because he did leave a movement called imagism, which is where you strip it down. This is what this poem is. You strip it down to its bare essentials. No word is unnecessary. That's why it's only 2 lines. Every word has to do its job. So it gives this image to the reader, and then the reader has to decide on the meaning, or has to look through the image to figure out what's actually being said here. So I respect that practice. I respect the movement. Just personally, as reading it, I don't find it as fun. So this is a couplet. A couplet is a stanza with 2 lines. If those 2 lines are what make up the entire poem, like it does here, then that means the poem and the stanza are both called couplets. I think reading a series of unfortunate events as children means that we all think that couplets have to rhyme, but only rhyming couplets have to rhyme. So yeah, this is a rhyming couplet. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. The word that is doing the most in this poem is apparition. So apparition means like something appearing. It also means like a ghost. It basically just, and it means ghost because like a ghost kind of fades in, right? We all know what a ghost does. It just means one thing appearing on another. So you have image 1 and image 2, and image 2 is kind of coming through and fading onto image 1. So image 1 is like the man-made world. It means very artificial. And then you immediately have petals on a wet black bough. That is nature. So we know that the faces in the crowd specifically are about the man-made world and not about like travel or not about like the station itself, because the thing that it is being compared to is nature. That is called juxtaposition. When you compare 2 specific things to point out how different or similar they are. Yeah. So the way that the second image appears on the first is that we have a similarity. We have the faces and we have the petals. So from far away, you know when people draw stadiums and they just kind of do this? Boop, 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 boop. And that's the crowd. Just a bunch of dots going, yay. That is kind of what the petals are supposed to look like. That zoomed out, just kind of mess of this stuff. The people in the crowd in the metro station and petals on a branch, those are 2 things that are completely different from each other. So when you have image 1 being about a man-made world and image 2 being about nature, and they look so different from each other, that is the poem saying that the world we made is very different from nature. Do I have to write that down? But like I just said, the faces and the petals being so similar, that also shows how alike they are, how we are still part of that nature. It is showing us both the differences and the similarities about the world we made versus the world we already had. And it's really on the reader to decide how similar and how different you see the world. Did you notice something about this poem, though? There's no verbs in this poem. In a station of the metro, the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough. I feel like I have to, when I read it, I feel like I have to like be very careful. Because if I talk fast, I feel like I'll mess it up in a way that I don't feel like I'll mess up if I say another poem fast. You know what I mean? The apparition of these faces. It almost makes me enunciate more and open my mouth more. They were like, I can't talk about this all here, but there are so many things you can do in a poem. The way you line up sounds in your poem, you can make a reader read it very fast, almost like they have to start rapping to get it all out, because there's certain sounds that will just fall onto each other and make you go super fast and speed you up as you read. Ones that we already talked about can slow you down. Ones where it'll change the shape of your mouth to be about what the poem is. Like the Romeo and Juliet, they have a sonnet together about making out, and there's lots of P's and S's and like tons of P's where you have to like pucker your lips over and over to say the poem that's about kissing and puckering up. Like, poetry's pretty freaking cool. It's freaking rad, kids. No verbs in here. Oh my god.
Shoes, no, shoes, kids, shoes, boo-hoo.
Alright, this one we're doing fast, and it's not a poem. You've seen this. Everyone's seen this. I hope you've seen it. The shortest, saddest story that exists was written by Ernest Hemingway, and it's 6 words. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. I wanted to include it because it's doing what all the other poems are doing in a very clear way. So you can see that every single word has a point. You take out baby, it's now no longer a sad poem. And then the comma causing a pause, making you stop for a second. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. That pause is so perfect. Hemingway wrote this because he bet a group of guys that he could make them cry with only using 6 words. And they said, no freaking way. So he said this and they paid him out. He won the bet. But I swear to God, he was probably at home one day and this popped into his head and he's like, I'm going to make some money off of this. This is so sad. You could also think of it like a little sign. And the fact that they're for sale, this family can't hold on to them as like some kind of memory. They have to sell them. They need the money for them. And then they're using this never worn as a point for the person who's going to buy them. Like, don't worry, they've never been worn. Like, oh. Of course, this list needed a haiku. I was not going to make a little poem video without a haiku. Fucking love haikus. This one's from Basho. He was alive like ancient Japanese times. He popularized the form. He didn't invent the haiku, but he popularized it in the form we use today. So a haiku, 3 lines of 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and then 5 syllables. So this one right here is the most direct translation. It's just saying what these words mean without kind of putting any metaphor or arranging them in any certain way, just what's going on. So we just have a few pieces of information. Old pond, frog, jumping, water, sound. That's all we get. Or at least that's how it looks in English. I have no idea what the Japanese words mean or what they convey. This first translation we have here is the 5-7. 5, someone has translated it into a way that fits the traditional haiku form. They also added in a cutting word. A cutting word is like, it adds texture. It breaks up the poem. So it says, an old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Splash. Silence again. So that splash really changes up the tone that was established. Haikus don't need cutting words and a lot of them don't have them, but if you are someone who would like to write haikus, know that that is an option for you. I love writing haikus. I feel like they really helped improve my writing because they look like they should be easy. 3 lines, 5-7-5. Just 17 syllables, right? But fitting your image, fitting your idea into that little strict pocket, it's kind of hard. You have to be very purposeful with the words you pick. So if you're someone who's writing and you want to improve, I suggest that you try some haikus. And I also suggest that you keep to the 5-7-5 because sticking to that format and having to decide the best way to fit your idea into that will really help you out. So old pond, frog leaping, splash. This is the one that is almost like the Ezra Pound poem, just as little information as we can possibly get to understand. This one is my favorite. There was a dis frog, gone jumpa off a de log, now he in a bog. I love it. It adds a little rhyme. It is so sweet. I just love how it sounds. It's amazing. It's almost written in a dialect. Dialect is when you can, the accent is written into it. I love how it adds personality. It is my favorite. I hate how this one uses pond twice. And this is a personal note. I try not to do this in my writing, using the same distinct word. And by distinct, I mean something that's not like you, because you have to repeat those words. So I mean words like pond. I really don't like repeating it because it just sounds weird. An old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Like, gross. I don't like it. So what is the point of this one? It's about still silent nature and then one burst of movement and then you have the aftermath. It's almost like you can still see the water rippling in your mind after you finished reading the poem. Like I said, if you're a writer who wants to improve, I seriously encourage you to use haikus. Or if you're just in a slump and you need like a warm up, get your brain jogging before you write, a haiku is a really good idea. One summer, I challenged myself to write one every single day. And thank God I did, because I got masterpieces like this. When I said I was a poet, I meant it. And no, not every haiku has to stay to 575, but the good ones do. And I stand by that. Like, read Basho and then read Jack Kerouac, and you tell me. Let me know if there's any little poems that you think should be on this list. If there's anything in general you want me to analyze, I fucking will.